First of all, Winnie, thank you for talking with me today. Just to start, please tell us the premise for Last Call.
Last Call is about a rebel motorcycle rider who is haunted by visions of a very sexy serpent woman. And the more she tries to deny this haunting, the more it gets closer and closer.
Oh, yeah. What was the inspiration behind this story?
The inspiration behind the story, just a lot of different life moments, but I definitely have a friend who is in a motorcycle. She's a girl, but she's also in like a motorcycle gang with other women. And I really loved how supportive they are of each other, not just of their successes, but of the things that they're going through. And I think in Last Call, there's like a lot of shadow work that I was doing, like things that you're afraid of. And
Mhm.
sometimes like the more scared you are, the more you want to like shy away from it. But at the same time, it gets like closer and closer. It's like, so how do you deal with like things you're really scared of?
Mhm.
Yeah.
For sure. From a directing standpoint, working on a shorter film, how do you organize scenes in your work in order to keep within that time frame?
Oh, okay. So that's a great question because this short actually took 5 years.
Oh,
So I would say that, think of time frame differently with a short. If you don't have the resources to do it all in one run, there's
mhm.
something really beautiful about delayed gratification and waiting. And because, we hit a lot of road bumps in the time of making Last Call, I have had the luxury of actually reviewing the footage and being like, oh, you know what? Like next time around, let's do it differently. And there's like a really beautiful thing about, having to wait a full year and be
Mhm.
like, okay, let's shoot it this way. And then like we shot another day and then we're like, okay, nobody's available until like this time next year. And we kind of like built off that language and like having to wait
Mhm.
and I think for those reasons, it makes it that special. And had we done it for like, 5 days straight, all in one run, it wouldn't have ended up the way it did. So I would say like don't let time actually be a constraint if everything else is a constraint.
Oh yeah, and he had time to perfect it. Knowing that contest, it makes sense for just how just beautiful and perfect it is. Even as short as it is, every moment is intentional and you're really into it. So
Yeah.
my favorite element of this are the vivid colors. Of course, like post edits contribute to that, but a lot of that is what you capture. So how did you achieve that?
Mm. I was really inspired by these like Eastern costume pieces because I grew up in Hong Kong. Well, I didn't grow up in Hong Kong. I was born in Hong Kong and I watched a lot of movies growing up with my parents, like what they watched. And a lot of them were like martial arts, mystical movies. And of course, I think when you're kind of moving into that space, it's very colorful. And I was really drawn to that. And I think also like with a short, you can kind of take a lot more risks.
Mhm.
And I just found myself saying like, why not? Why not? I just kept like saying that over and over again. And like, this is kind of what came out of it.
Oh yeah. What is
Yeah.
your favorite sequence that you shot?
Ooh, they're like really all my favorite sequences. But okay, so like that's still where this and also that's the moment where the snake lady hovers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the entire time I knew that that was something that I wanted to manifest.
Mhm.
But even on the day of the shoot, like hours before, like nobody knew how we were gonna do it. And I just kept like telling people, like, okay, so like I think I'm gonna try to do it this way. And it was like at the last moment we found a dolly and we were like pushing it in and it all came together very, very last minute. And it was one of those things where like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna actually make it work. But I think at that time, that was like one of the last days after so many years of working together that like I knew out of trust that like we were gonna do it.
Yeah, no, it came out just perfect. There is such a fun world created here. What was the process like of deciding what that would look like?
And again, I think that really had to do with having many years to to think about it, to actually meditate what this world was. I think when I first wrote the script, it was going to be like very gritty. We were going to shoot it at one location. And I think that the world building actually came from the actual world that was being offered to me, as in, like, because we shot for 2 days and we had a little footage to show, there was like the virtual studio that came in and that was like, oh, you know what? We can offer you like a day or two. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, we could shoot in front of a virtual screen. Okay, like what do I have to put behind that screen? And all of a sudden, like it became this uh like iterative process, um, where it wasn't something that I imagined in the beginning. It was just like a thing that kept building on itself. But I also was just kind of like drawing into these like memories that I had growing up. So I knew that I always had something to fall back to.
No, yeah. Having directed projects that you've both written and not, how is your approach different to directing, if there is one?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I'm directing something that I haven't written, I'm interpreting the script. Like the script is the Bible, that the words is all I have. But when I'm directing my own work, sometimes I'm not even working off of the script. I'm working off of a feeling, and I'm working off of the circumstances that I have around me.
Mhm.
And so I think that I'm drawing more from life. Like I'm going, it's beyond the script.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Within that, do you have a preference for directing what you write versus not? Or is it just all the same kind of fun to you?
I would say, yeah, it's they're different kinds of fun, but it's nice to be able to exercise those two things. Um, yeah, I think there's something really nice about being in service to other people's stories. I think that's really important. Like I have a skill set,
Mhm.
and it's nice to be able to offer that for my friends and stories that I believe in that are, mostly underserved. And then in 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 trade, like it's really beautiful to be the director and have other people work so hard to make my vision come true. So I really feel like there's this kind of just ongoing feedback loop of giving and receiving. Like I don't know if I can just keep like directing my own work all the time. I feel very creatively invigorated by helping my friends on their projects too.
Well, that makes sense because, like you said, kind of you have a deeper ability to take it in a different direction than just writing. But also, of course, when you are writing, like you said, you don't even have to refer to the script. It's all already in your mind.
Yeah.
So is this a project you would want to expand into a longer film eventually? I know the context of 5 years changes it a little bit for me, but it's
No, I think that yes, I would absolutely love to expand this to a larger project. I think the world is very rich,
Mhm.
and we were able to develop that over time. Like this can only happen because we had the luxury of time. But now that we have the world built out, I think there's even like the character like Lou, DJ Lou in there. He's like a very, very wise man. It's like, how did he get that wise? Like, where is he coming from? And I also, yeah, I have like a script ready to go. And so I think it's just a matter of getting the right people on board.
yeah. Well, here's to hoping for that because I was watching and I'm like, why is it this short? I want more. It's just so fun and just the beautiful world that it takes you into.
Yes, well, I'm so glad you like it, and I'm so glad that you desire kind of like more from the world and from these characters. That's absolutely the point, and I think it, it tells me that like we're heading in a right direction if that's like how you're feeling.
It's like a perfect little taste of it. And then it just
Yes,
makes more.
it's like oop, I
Exactly.
gotta wait.
And as a final question, just what does it mean to you to have your film being shown at South by Southwest?
I really think it is the perfect home for it. South by, I know they have like their programming is a mix of like music is such a big identity for South by, and for this film, it's all original composition. My partner and I worked on the sound, like we gave a lot of love on the sound, and the midnight program, midnight shorts program is just like a very beloved program that everybody pays attention to. So the fact that like we're in a midnight program that is very music and sound centric, I think is like really the perfect fit. Like I couldn't ask for like a better world premiere.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for speaking with me today. Congratulations and good luck with the festival coming up.
Thank you so much, Mario.